But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. Welcome back to the broadcast. It's Thursday morning, December 27th, 2018. I'm Sean, your host. Website is www.scriptureandprophecy.com. That's where you go to find the archives, and that's where you go to support this broadcast. So if this is a podcast that's important to you and it's feeding you and blessing you, consider supporting it. Scriptureandprophecy.com. All the options are there for you. Today we are going to resume our study in the book of Psalms and Proverbs, wisdom and encouragement from the Psalms and Proverbs. We're ready for 16 today, chapter 15 rather. Psalm 15 and Proverbs 15. And like usual, the psalm is fairly short and to the point. And then in the Proverbs, it's resuming the contrast of good and evil. So it's a continuation of that, which is really what most of the Proverbs is. It's wisdom, right? It's here's wise things to do, and here's foolish things to do, and here's the consequence of wisdom, and here's the consequence of foolishness. Here's the consequence of fearing the Lord, and here's the consequence of not fearing the Lord. I mean, that's really what the Proverbs are. Written by the wisest man who ever lived, and also by a man who made a lot of terrible mistakes. And so the wisdom is legit for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And we're starting in the King James Bible with Psalm chapter 15, verse 1. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth, not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is contemned, but he honoureth them that fear the Lord. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved. So the psalmist is asking a question here. The psalmist happens to be David. He's saying, Lord, who's going to dwell in thy tabernacle and dwell on thy holy hill? Who's going to be with you? And the answer is he that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. The scriptures say that one thing that God hateth is a lying tongue. God doesn't just dislike lying, he hates lying. And we talk a lot about walking in righteousness, walking upright, walking in righteousness and holiness. And to the modern day Christian, that seems ridiculous. But if the modern day Christian were to study the Bible over and over and over, and yes, even in the New Testament, is this theme of walking and working righteousness and holiness. Even Peter says, be holy, because your Father in heaven is holy. So be ye holy also. It means be set apart, be different. We spend so much time trying to bring the world in or trying to be relevant to the world, when the scriptures is calling us to be set apart from the world, to be different from the world, to be strange, to be a strange and peculiar people, because you don't indulge in the things that the world indulges in. You don't agree with things that the world agrees with. The world takes evil and perversity and wickedness and says this is fun and exciting and it's good for you. And Christians are to say, no, that's wrong and evil, and we are not going to participate in it. And with that comes persecution from the world. But, if you're truly walking for Christ, you're going to face some adversity. You're going to face some trouble in this world. So who's going to inherit? Who's going to abide in the tabernacle and dwell in the holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is contemned. But he that honoreth them that fear the Lord. Again, that theme, fearing the Lord. All throughout the scriptures. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor take reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved. And that is Psalm chapter 15. Let's move on to some wisdom here from the Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 15. Here's what it says, verse 1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes, real quick, it says a soft answer turneth away wrath. I don't know about you guys, but that's something that I could really use in my own life. Maybe that's something to pray for. Maybe you're like me and you're not very good at giving a soft answer, especially if you find the question ridiculous or offensive, or you get on the defense or something like that, and you answer with sarcasm or with, an answer that's not soft. And here the scriptures are saying, here's some wisdom for you. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Listen, there's nothing that's unseen by the Lord. Nothing. And as we're going to read here in a second, there's nothing thought or nothing in the heart that's not seen by the Lord. Verse 4, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is the breach in the spirit. A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. In the house of the righteous is much treasure, but the revenues of the wicked is trouble. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish doth not so. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness. There's that theme again. It says that the Lord loves those who follow after righteousness. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more than the hearts of the children of men? See, it's pointing out that God knows even the thoughts and the heart of men. Verse 12. A scorner loveth not one that reproveth him, neither will he go into the wise. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. The heart of him that hath understanding seeketh knowledge, but the mouth of fools feedeth on foolishness. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he that is of a merry heart hath a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. You might know of people who are wealthy, and it seems like they have everything, yet they have not God. And according to the scripture, you're better off if you have the fear of the Lord in just a little bit in this world than if you have great treasure. Because in reality, trouble lies in great treasure. How many people win the lottery and go bankrupt? What is it, like 90%? Almost all of them. Over half of NFL football players who get paid tens of millions, sometimes much more than that, go bankrupt. You see it all the time. You see movie stars and all these people. They live these glamorous lives. They make all this money. They have no fear of the Lord. And then they lose it. And end up broke and poor. You're better off with little and have the fear of the Lord than have great treasure, because trouble lies therein. Verse 17, better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. Again, it's the same concept. You're better to have just a little bit of food. You have just a plain dinner made of herbs, but have people around you that love you, than to have a big old fat ox to eat and hatred in your life. That's some great wisdom, those two verses there. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. The way of the slothful man is a hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain. In other words, don't be lazy. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother. Folly is the joy that him that destitute of wisdom, but a man of understanding walketh uprightly. Without counsel purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors they are established. A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good it is. In other words, a word of wisdom spoken at the right time, at the right place. How good that is. How good it is. And it says the counsel of purposes are disappointed, but the multitude of counselors they are established. It's important to have wise people around you, in other words. And a good wise word at the right time. How good it is. It's spoken in due season. Verse 24, the way of life is above the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud, but will establish the border of the widow. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of his pure are pleasant words. You see there again, God knows the thoughts. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house, but he that hateth gifts shall live. The heart of the righteous is studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he heareth the prayer of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoiceth the heart, and a good report maketh the bones fat. The ear that heareth the reproof, life abideth among the wise. He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. Well, there you have it, my friends. There's some wisdom and encouragement from the Psalms and the Proverbs. And I know it's a short episode this morning, but I pray that it blessed you and benefits you and feeds your soul and feeds your spirit. That's the goal of the podcast, and that's my prayer for it. Speaking of prayer, your prayer for the podcast is much needed and would be greatly coveted and greatly appreciated. So please consider praying for the podcast and for my family. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Again, you can support the podcast if you wish, if you feel led, by going to scriptureandprophecy.com. There's a donate tab and a subscribe tab, and there's a mailbox, P.O. box that's listed there. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who do support it, who do pray. It means the world, so thank you so much. All right, Lord willing, we'll be back again tomorrow with our gospel portion for this week. That's the plan anyway, so we'll see how it plays out. Peace and grace be with all of you, and until next time, God bless.